Hello and welcome to I think episode 3 of Late Night Anime. Uh
That's what this is.
hell yeah. I'm B, that's
I'm
Todd.
Todd. Yeah.
Uh we watch what was it? FLCL Furikuri
Glee.
whatever the fuck. Um that's what we watched. If I don't know, maybe you watched the previous episodes so you knew to watch it ahead of time and you watched it with us. That'd be great. I'd be real proud of you if you did. But if not, that's okay. Hey, you could, I don't know, if you're dedicated, pause, watch the entire show right now and then come back. But like also,
It's worth it.
yeah. I mean, and if you don't do that, the entire show is gonna be spoiled for you most likely. Uh
Not yet though, because we're
Not
going to
yet.
start with seasonal anime.
Absolutely.
This week the new season of anime dropped, and I watched too many.
I don't I only know of one that's being released right now, actually.
Really?
What are the other releases? Yeah.
Do you want me to go through like every release I watched one by one?
I would love that.
All right, I'm just gonna do it in like the order it has on AniList for me. So here's like the first one I have here is called like Licorice Recoil. I'm just gonna call it Licorice Recoil because that's a cooler fucking name.
All right.
Um, it's done by A1 Pictures, and it's about cute girls, and they have guns.
Wait,
Wow!
shit. Okay.
I
Actually, I'm interested now.
it's just about like an organization of girls who have powers and guns, and they have shit to do.
Damn. All right. I
And the
gotta.
two main girls are, I think one's named like Chisato. That's the most anime protagonist name.
Yeah.
And she's the quirky one, and she breaks the rules a little bit, and that's why
Always.
she was kicked out of the main group. And
Oh,
she
yeah.
works kind of side jobs, and most of those side jobs are just helping out in the community. And there's the other character who's the super serious one, and she wants to get back to working with the main group of girls, but she fucked up on a mission, and now she's stuck with this quirky one, and she's pissed about it. From
uh,
episode one, the animation was really good, but there's not much to say about the story so far. It
yeah.
looks like it could be really interesting or just absolutely flop. It's been one episode.
We'll find out, I guess.
This next one is also from A1 Pictures. It releases on like the same day.
Huh.
It's called Engage Kiss.
Oh,
It's just a
interesting.
stupid name. It's similar to like Tactopy.Destiny or like Black Bullet.
Uh-huh.
It's about a dude, and he has no
Damn.
notable qualities about him aside from
Like,
the fact that he's kind of a dick
I
and
mean,
he doesn't leave his room.
sounds like your stereotypical anime then, right?
Yeah, but the big twist comes in the fact that he's actually a cool, epic gamer guy, and he knows how to use a gun to kill evil monsters or something. And he does that with the help of his kawaii anime girl who. Wait, what? I clicked on her like bio thing. It says her age is unknown. Parentheses several hundred years.
Interesting. That sound
Okay,
that
that came
huh.
out of nowhere to me too.
Huh.
So far, the show looks kind of boring, but the animation was also fucking incredible. So,
Yeah. Huh.
after that is another anime about cute girls. This one is done by Studio Shaft, the same studio that did the
Nice.
Monogatari series. But Shaft died in like 2017, pretty much,
Yeah, okay.
with the departure of many staff members,
Mhm.
mostly like the main directors and storyboarders and a lot of animators.
Yeah.
So like, the only ones left are like Shinbo, who is perpetually working on the Madoka movie, and the director who directed this, Shoji Saeki. I mean, he has a lot of other work directing anime about cute girls fighting things and doing strange things.
Yeah.
I don't know what this show's exactly about yet. I think it's meant to be an idol take on Strike Witches, which like
What's the
Strike
show's name?
Witches. It's called. Oh, I didn't even say
You
that.
didn't say that
Wow.
yet. It's
I'm.
vitally
It's
important.
League of Nations, Air Force, Aviation, Magic Band, Luminous Witches.
Lovely.
It's a name.
It's a name, that's for sure.
It has some sort of relation to Strike Witches, which is a show about cute girls with like fucking planes on their feet and guns. and this is that, but I think they're going to be idols later down the road.
Interesting.
So this is going
Intriguing.
to be a show. Yeah, I don't know about the general quality of it. These are like so far, these are all the things that I'm like really 50-50 on. Is
Yeah.
either they're gonna completely flop or they're just gonna be like pretty good. After that is Ruby Ice Queendom. I think this is
Oh
the
yeah.
only thing you watched,
That
right?
is exactly. Though I watched as in half of it, but
Half of the first three episodes that all dropped
yeah.
like the same time. Yeah. I
Um
saw all those three episodes.
yeah.
What are your thoughts on it?
Okay. I think that we should dis- I have many thoughts on it. Many thoughts that I think we should
All right.
discuss after your list because
All
I
right.
can go off on this.
We'll talk about that in a second. The basic stuff to know though is it's a Studio Shaft anime, and it's based off of the American anime-ish show
It's yeah.
called by the same name, Ruby from Rooster Teeth. Okay, the show after
I think
that,
that
because we're
and it
skipping over Ruby for now,
yeah.
is Yurei Deco.
Huh.
It's by Studio Science Saru, which is pretty much just Masaki Uesa's studio. You don't know who
Gotcha.
Masaki
I
Uesa is.
not
He's
a
the guy who
clue.
did
I'm nodding like I understand, but not a clue.
he did the Tatami Galaxy, Kaiba, Devilman Crybaby, Woo Over the Wall, a bunch of shit. Keep your
Yeah.
hands off Eizouken. He's known for his like distinct style and also making really wacky shit. So
Fun, lovely.
and this
Love to
show
see
kind
it.
of keeps up with being pretty wacky, except it's not directed by Masaki Uesa.
Huh.
I think it's one of the first things from this studio to not be directed by him. I mean, there's definitely a lot of influence from him, and the art direction is like very similar to his other work. So like it's pretty obviously a Science Saru production.
Yeah.
The show is about a futuristic world that has kind of just been taken over by technology. It kind of reminds me. There's like an episode of Adventure Time where like these people were just like permanently in VR. That freaked me out as a kid, and the show kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah.
Everything is in this world is kind of based off of likes. You gain likes,
Ugh.
and that counts as like a currency.
Yeah.
So far, we haven't seen like the bad side of that. It hasn't really become a Black Mirror episode yet.
Lovely.
It's been mostly about a young girl who is trying to find this elusive hacker that goes by the name of Ghost. I think he's a hacker. He's some sort of being that nobody in the world can see.
What does he do?
He just shows up. It's been really wacky about it so far. It has not given you like much information,
I see.
but I've this has definitely been one of my more liked shows of the season. Yeah, so
Yeah.
pretty much her eye is fucking up. Like her left eye is gone all wacky, and now she starts seeing things differently
Oh,
in that
lovely.
one eye. And she can like that eye being wacky just means she doesn't when she looks through that eye, she doesn't see all the electronic shit,
Huh.
like all the AR popping like pop-up things that you see in like VR worlds and stuff. Like her escape
Interesting.
from this weird VR world. And that's how she meets the boy Hack, who is like a little thief boy, a little menace of a man. He sneaks around because nobody can see him. He's got his little invisibility cloak and he runs around and just fucks with people's days for fun because he's goofy like
Lovely.
that. So far, I've liked the show and I hope it keeps up with just being wacky and not making sense.
Yeah.
It's also really colorful. The animation's quite good.
That's
There was
fun. That's
like
always nice to see.
one really cool shot that reminded me. It was like a total Mirror's Edge moment where one of the characters jumps off of a building and rolls on the ground, and you just get a POV shot of them like rolling on the ground and getting up again to keep running. And it was like really cool. I really fucking
That
like
is
that
cool.
shit. Um, moving on, the show after that is Prima Doll, which it's so hard to form opinions after one episode. The
Yeah.
show is also about cute girls because what anime show isn't?
I'm seeing a trend
Its
here.
original creator is the visual novel studio Key, known for making Clannad
Yeah.
and like other things that are known for making people cry.
Oh, lovely.
And it kind of seems like this show is going for that as well. It's about cute girls, but they're part robot
Huh.
or maybe entirely robot. but they get human emotions and shit, and their whole point is to help people out. But there's a war going on, and the
Lovely.
main character is like, I'm really happy and stupid and ignorant to the things of the world so far. So we're kind of just gonna see where that goes from there.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't have too much to say on that. I don't think I have
Fair
much to say on
enough.
this next one either, but it's got a really long ass name, so that'll take up most of the time.
All right, let's hear
Um,
it.
it's all based off of a light novel. It's called My Isekai Life: colon, I gained a second character class and became the strongest sage in the world! Exclamation mark.
What?
It's an isekai. It's I don't think I
Never
have to
would have
elaborate
guessed.
on that. I think My Isekai Life basically sums it up.
Yeah.
He's isekai, but he's got Digimon.
Wait.
So,
Oh God. What?
but they're not actual Digimon. They're like knockoff Digimon. So instead of a cool weirdo looking wolf, it's just a normal looking wolf
Dodged
and
the
normal
copyright.
looking blue slime. And he kind of just commands them to do things as he goes like fucking L from Death Note and just like figures out like how to obliterate his enemies by
Lovely.
just spewing magic at them
Sounds like
repeatedly.
sounds like a
And he's
villainous person.
overpowered. I watched the show on 2 times speed
I
because I
see.
really cared about it. I'm
Yeah,
probably gonna drop it.
that's
The
fair
next one
enough.
is Classroom of the Elite Season 2. It's Classroom of the Elite Season 1, but more episodes.
Oh, really? See,
Yeah.
I never finished season one of that.
It's
Um,
okay.
I, yeah, I was intrigued by it, but I wasn't hooked by it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like,
I liked it when I first watched it, but my joy for it has slowly faded. This
yeah.
first episode of this season has just been exposition about the next mind game they're going to play.
Oh, lovely.
And it was like 10 minutes of exposition, and I think I only understood like 5 minutes because they just started talking and they would not stop. I was like, give me a fucking second to catch up here. What is the point system? How does any of this shit work? You know what? I don't care. I'm just gonna wait until the dude figures it all out and makes it look really cool. Makes
Yeah.
it look like the author was actually really smart.
Oh, yeah.
The next one after this is Vermeil in Gold, which is a show about a boy, and he's pathetic and lame and sad because he cannot find a familiar. He cannot make a contract with a familiar, and he's going to fail at the grade
I've
until he
never seen that trope before.
until a magic book falls on his head, and it's like, hey, this is a familiar you can summon. He's like, okay, I'll do that, and then he summons a succubus, and
What the
she's horny,
fuck?
and that's the show.
Lovely. Okay.
So
Didn't,
like,
yeah. Huh.
I've kind of liked this.
I wonder why. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, never.
Uh, it's etchy. I don't
Huh.
know how long it can keep up being any sort of like interesting show, or
Yeah.
if it'll just like become
Fan
a
service.
horny slice of life with some magic involved.
Yeah.
Dude, after
Interesting.
that's uh, a remake of the like 2002 show Tokyo Mew Mew. It's
Hmm.
called Tokyo Mew Mew New. It's
That's
the
such,
only thing I
again, an
knew
original name. Uh,
about the original Tokyo Mew Mew is I had like a really bad dub where they
yeah.
like completely renamed all the characters. I think it was a 4 Kids dub. And it's like the main male character, that like the love interest male character, they just renamed him to Mark. And I just remember
What?
this scene. I can't find it on YouTube of just like the cat girl main character being like, "Mark, do you not love me? Is it because of my cat?" Or something like
Meow.
that. Yeah, basically Tokyo Mew Mew's a
Lovely.
magical girl show. They're magical girls, and they turn into animals. There's only been one episode. The main girl turns into a cat, and she can fight things.
Huh.
And she also has a crush on Masiya, but I'm just gonna keep calling him Mark because
Because he's
he's
Mark
Mark in my
forever in your
mind,
heart.
and he's just the prettiest boy in school,
Oh,
and he loves
always.
animals.
Of course, of
But
course.
she can't let him find out that she's actually a magical girl, cat girl, because being a cat girl would freak a guy out, and certainly is not what like is completely fetishized all over the internet.
No,
No,
never.
no, no. If he finds out you're
Oh
a cat girl,
God.
he'll get scared and shun you and report you to the police.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
It's pretty fun, I guess. It's like it's a Mahou Shoujo show for kids. It's
Yeah.
goofy. I kind of started watching it just to kind of laugh at it, and it serves that purpose. The next show is My Stepmom's Daughter Is My Ex.
What? Oh
I
no.
don't.
That sounds
There's
like a
nothing to
bad like
actually. There's
Wattpad
nothing
fan
to say
fiction or
on this.
something.
It feels like it. It's not
Uh,
as like completely absurd as something like Domestic Girlfriend yet. At least, the
yet.
visuals are about what you expect. They're bad.
Yeah.
Um, the show's been kind of boring so far with
I
just
see.
it's generic. It's a
It's,
fucking generic romance show, but
I gotta admit, I'm
with
curious to
incest.
see how long your list is at the end of the seasons. Uh, um,
Yeah, I'm probably gonna drop like 90% of
I
the
was gonna
shows.
say, I mean, I know I typically don't even start with 90% of them, and it typically
I'm
drops very
uh,
fast. But
I am like running out of breath here, coming going through all these
oh
shows.
yeah, that's
Trying to
fair
speed
enough.
run this. Okay, the next show is called Smile of the Ars Arsnatoria. Dude, I feel like a moron because I can't pronounce words.
I mean, it's not
Arsnatoria,
your,
the
it's
animation. Smile of the Arsnatoria, the animation.
oh lovely.
I think this is based off of a video game,
Must
but I'm
be.
not sure what type of video game.
Well, wait. So what is it? It's Smile of Arsenator.
Arsnotoria. Maybe I should have
A
searched that
R
up. You're right.
S O what? R S N O
Arsnotoria.
T O R I A.
Yeah, it's this
Um,
anime. It's based off of a game from
it's a
Nitro
mobile
Plus.
game.
Oh, okay. Because I know Nitro
Y-
Plus from making Steins Gate and Phantom Requiem for the Phantom, which I mean
it's
Steins Gate's a banger.
what is it about? I don't see any pictures.
It's
Um,
probably just a gotcha game if it's a
Probably.
mobile game.
That makes
That
sense.
makes sense. Yeah. This show's done by
Game.
Widen Films, and it's directed by a former Shaft director
Oh,
named
lovely.
Naoki Tatsuya. He works mostly with Studio Passion. I think this is like the first show he's done with Widen Films.
Mm-hmm.
He's known for being the director of Isekoi and Gourmet Girl Graffiti at Shaft, and the assistant director to an absolute banger of a show, and
Yeah.
yet the town moves. That show fucking slaps. Um, but this show, it has gotten off to an okay start. I mean, like 75% of the episode was a fucking tea party.
Oh, lovely. I mean, hey, who doesn't
Um,
love a tea party?
it's about girls in a magical academy, and they're
I'm s-
cute or something.
I'm
The
seeing the
main girl
trend for
is
this season.
really, really shy,
Yeah,
and
I'm seeing more
she's got
trends
a
for this
friend who
season.
is loud and quirky, and then the blonde-haired one who's kind of a bitch.
Oh, lovely.
The show visually looks pretty good. It's got a lot of Shaft isms at times as well. You have like
Yeah,
flashing text on screen every so often. Most of that's for
nice.
like quick translations. You have like a girl say something like being the pope of the
What?
school, which is just like the class representative or the class president,
I
and I'll flash that
see.
on screen. Overall, I thought it was a pretty good show for its first episode, and hopefully it doesn't immediately fall off.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, there's not much to say on that one. It was a
That's
tea
fair enough.
party, and it was kind of cute. Next one is Jesus fuck. Next one.
Next
Uncle
one.
from Another
Yeah.
World.
You don't have to
Actually,
cover
it's
all of
all
them if you don't want
caps.
to.
So, Uncle from Another World. This one's about a dude who comes back from his isekai trip, and he's
Oh,
like 30, and he is getting like reconnected to everything in the human world, and he
interesting.
is it's a comedy manga, and this turned into a
Yep.
comedy anime.
Yep.
And the straight man for the show is his nephew, who is now an adult and also pretty broke.
I see.
And they're living in the same apartment together. And he's trying to kind of exploit his uncle because his uncle can now use magic. And so they're
Yep.
just like abusing him. They're using him for just like YouTube views and shit like that. And
Oh,
to like pick up
lovely.
mail really quickly. It's pretty goofy.
That
It's
yeah, that
done
does
by
sound
like
fun.
some like Nobody Studio. The only other thing they've made is Ganbare Doki-chan.
Yeah.
So like visually, the show is
Uh-huh. But I
like there's
mean,
not much animation wise, but I think like it's pretty funny and the voice acting's really good.
that's good.
So it kind of makes up
That's
for
kind
it.
of the important bit, honestly. I mean, like obviously animation is always important, but like as long as it's passable and the story is good, plus like it doesn't sound like shit, I think you can often give it a pass on animation.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting twist on isekai.
Uh-huh.
I hope it actually stays funny for more than like 2 episodes and doesn't get old.
Yeah.
Uh, there's not much else to say on that. Oh, Main Abyss has a season 2. I don't really think there's much to say on that. I'm gonna just skip past that.
Yeah,
It
go
looks
for
good. Keeps it up. Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World. Jesus Christ, this was an isekai,
it.
and it is really shit. This is
It's just
complete
bad.
dog shit. I'm going to. Okay, we don't get like any introduction to the guy before he gets like hit by a truck. Usually, you
The,
get that in
the
isekai. You get like at least
yeah.
2 minutes of learning the guy's a fucking loser before he just gets teleported. You just start off with this guy getting teleported,
I
and
mean, hey, you know what? Honestly,
he
at least they skipped the script because they knew we'd already heard
yeah, bro just
it.
wakes up with murder on his mind. He like picks
Of
up his items because he's in his game world because he's Kirito. He picks up his
course.
game items, his epic gamer sword, and just murders a bunch of bandits. And then the people of the town are like, "Oh my god, you're so great! Okay, now go buy a slave or something." I was like half paying
What?
attention, and then he goes to a slave trader, and the slave trader's like, "Oh, you should buy a slave. Slaves would be great.
What the
Buy a
fuck?
slave, buy a slave." And he's like, "Oh, I should." And he's like, "Oh, fuck, I have no money." And I was like, "Dude, you really just were like okay with slavery." I think it's
Yeah.
because like he first saw a slave and she's just a hot girl with big tits, and he's like, "Wow,
Damn. Yeah.
wow, I
Of
have
course.
to own her because God damn it,
Misogyny.
I hate this show. This shit was like it was so horrendous. It was almost laughable, but it was also fucking boring. It's also
Yeah.
directed by Naoyuki Tatsuya, but I think he
Hmm.
put a lot more effort into the other show I talked about,
Yeah.
Smile of Ass Fuck, more than Harem of Slavery,
Oh my
because this
god.
show feels like there was no effort put into it because
Yeah.
it is hell,
I
and
see.
I'm
Lovely.
not enjoying it.
Don't I yeah.
A show I am enjoying though is the Yakuza's Guide to Babysitting,
Oh,
another show on the
that
conquest of
sounds
trying to
fun.
increase Japan's birth rate. Um, it's another show like it's kind of like have you seen Sweetness and Lightning or Kakushigoto?
I can't say that I have.
It's yeah, it's basically just a yakuza has to take care of his boss's daughter, but his boss's daughter is also like 7,
Oh,
and
lovely.
so it's just like a show about taking care of a little kid, but also you're at the same time a total tough guy badass, and
Yeah.
so you have to figure out how to be a good guy
Yeah.
and a good father figure for this neglected child. It
Lovely.
looks pretty good. I thought it was goofy. I like the Yakuza bit. I thought it was well done. Way the House Husband and the
Uh-huh.
show goes for I guess for a different approach, but I still think it hits like a lot of the same notes and
Yeah.
is also funny.
That's
So
good. The Way the House
it's
Husband
also
is
much
one of my all-time favorites, honestly.
yeah. I think this one also has better visuals than Way the House Husband,
Yeah, that's not hard.
which was
Um,
so unfortunate for that show. Oh man. Um, that next show. This show's actually my favorite. It's called Call of the Night. I think it's probably like one of the most
interesting.
popular of this season. I've been hyped for this one since I saw Tomoyuki Utamura was the director.
Yeah,
If you didn't know, he's the director of like the Monogatari series,
I
pretty
see.
much. Like past, I mean, he was like the assistant director for Bake and Nisei,
Uh-huh.
but from Neko Monogatari Black onwards, he was the
He
director, and he also directed the Case de Vanitas, which is
gotcha.
an absolute banger of a show. I really like his style.
Uh-huh.
And his shit's sick. Everything he's touched is has been pretty good. So I trust that this show is good, will be good, and it has been good. This
Nice.
episode
That's
was
good.
fucking amazing. I really liked it. Uh, just like starting off, this show was fucking beautiful looking. The backgrounds, especially.
Yeah.
The show takes place like entirely during the night because the main character
Interesting.
has insomnia and he just leaves his house and walks around in the middle of the night
Huh.
because fuck going to school. I'm a 14-year-old and I have insomnia, so time to just walk around at night.
Hell yeah.
And the nightscape is so fucking pretty. Like the sky, you can see like all of space, and it's really well like they just add a lot of colors to the space, and it adds a lot of really cool moody lighting to a lot of the scenes.
Yeah.
And yeah, he runs into a vampire,
Hmm.
and then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to try and fall in love with you so you can turn me into a vampire because I don't want to live like
What?
a human anymore because my life fucking blows, and I just want to stay up all night."
That sounds kind of fun, honestly. And honestly,
It's really fun. I
I vibe
really
with
liked it
that.
so far.
That's such a mood though.
It's got a lot of Itamura-isms, especially in the direction. Like, there's
Yeah.
a shot that is like you see it and you instantly think, yes, this is Tomoyuki Itamura making this.
Uh-huh.
It's a shot of a when somebody reaches out, like when one character reaches out to grab another, it's just this like fuck, brain off. The shot just of a hand with like no background reaching forward
Oh.
towards the camera. I think that's really cool, and he uses that a fuck ton in all of his work,
Yeah,
and really like it. It just looks sick.
I see.
It's also the original creator for that is the same person who did. Have you heard of Tagashi Kashi?
I can't say that I have.
Or at least seen the character designs. The character designs are probably my favorite part of that show because they're
Mhm.
just really fucking good looking, and that artist has like great character designs,
Yeah,
and it's consistent here. I think the eyes are like my favorite part. Like the facial structure is just really cool for their art. I just
I
really like that
see.
aspect. Like this is honestly becoming one of my favorite shows. I've only seen one episode,
Yeah.
which means I'll probably be very disappointed.
As
Um,
yeah, as
yeah.
happens, but we'll see.
The next show just came out today, and I have read some of the manga for this
Mhm.
because I was interested if this show would actually be worth it. I read a bit of the manga a while back. I read like
Yeah.
30 chapters. It's just like it's made by the same dude who did Teasing Master Tagaki-san.
Uh-huh.
And this is just like a back and forth like type of romance where it's like, will they,
Lovely.
won't they? I don't know, but they're also in a shogi club and they play shogi against each other.
I see.
And the girl is like really easy to fluster while the guy is super serious, but he's also in love with the girl, but he
Yeah.
doesn't want to confess it until he can beat her in shogi.
That's like the what is it? The Love is War one, sort of.
Not as much.
Uh-huh.
Love is War has like a lot more comedy
Yeah.
and a good bit more on like the mind games front. This show does not have much of mind games.
Uh-huh.
Like it's just a guy is straightforward about calling the girl cute. She freaks out and then she gets mad and beats him at shogi.
Lovely.
It's pretty cute though.
That does sound fun.
Um, I'm almost done here.
All right.
There's Shine On Bakumatsu Boys, which is a show that takes place in like ancient Japan, and it's about samurai. It's very shonen. It is like extremely, extremely shonen. Like it's very tropey, but it could be
Lovely.
good. And visually, it looked pretty good. So I'm gonna keep watching it.
All right.
Rent a Girlfriend season 2 is releasing. The first episode was
Yeah.
just about the main character jizzling his pants over watching the main girl do a stage performance really well, and then get really pissed when she didn't get like recommended for another role. And
Lovely.
yeah, that was the entirety of this first episode. It was boring. Phantom of the Idol, which is an idol anime, but it's about guys. Except one of the guys doesn't want to be an idol, and he's just doing it because he thought it would be easy money until he meets a ghost,
Ugh.
and she's an ex-idol because she
Oh,
fucking died. That's why she's an ex-idol,
I
and she
see.
wants to be an idol again. She'll do anything, and so he's like, "Okay, take over my body and just do the show for me."
Fascinating.
And so that's the dynamic this has gone for so far.
Interesting. That
It
does
could
sound
be good.
interesting.
It
Yeah.
could get really boring. Yeah. And then the last one on my list here is Bastard Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy. It's based off of
It
a
what?
really edgy 80s manga,
I see.
and it is self-insert power trip
Lovely.
anime with titties
Uh,
and a
of
main character
course.
named Dark Schneider, which is such a stupid
Fucking
fucking name.
hell.
Every time I read it, I just think of Dan Schneider. So
Lovely.
um, that
Um,
rounds out my seasonals list. I say like the only one worth watching is Call of the Night. To be
Fair
honest,
enough.
like that's a
I'll
definite
have to put that
100%
on my list
recommend.
actually. Um, but
You want to talk
anyway,
about
yeah,
Ruby?
Ruby. Ruby's a thing. Um, gosh, okay. So I watched Ruby initially when I was like, I don't know,
Dude, I remember this. I think you were in like sixth grade.
it's gotta be, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember you talking about this with
No,
me one
it's
time in like sixth grade, and I did not give a shit.
oh, absolutely. Fair enough. Yeah, so what? Sixth grade, I don't know, that was forever ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago,
12?
but
12-ish? But anyway, so I watched it, the original,
yeah.
and I'm excited and hopeful for the new show.
Mm.
That to start off with, I was I watched it far too late at night, so I was initially very upset and disappointed, but in hindsight, I should be slightly less harsh on it. Um, but I do still say that they started the show off wrong.
Really?
That's my opinion.
Why is
Because
that?
so they started off way too explanatory, and if I'm remembering right, I think they essentially spoiled a whole bunch of plot hooks.
Oh,
Um,
really? I mean, for me, it
Straight
feels
from
like
the bat.
they're kind of speed running like the first few
Exactly.
bits, like the kind of like the first.
Um,
I don't know how it's split up, but like the first season maybe.
yeah. Well,
Because
except they're
okay,
not,
yeah.
because it's like
Oh,
they
really?
they they essentially the first half of the first 10 minutes of the first episode.
Hmm.
Um, from what I remember, it spoiled at least 3 plot lines. Like major plot
Oh,
lines
for
later in the
real?
show.
Oh my god.
Um, if I and I don't know if they're going to change how they're going to present that stuff.
Mhm.
And maybe part of the reason that it spoiled it for me is because I'd watched the original, so I knew who the people were. That might be part of it.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
but I also think that they showed too much there, and they should have. I don't know. But and
Yeah.
then something
Okay.
else that I'm disappointed in is the music.
Really?
Um, if you've listened, I don't know if you have at all, but
I
like
have not listened to Ruby music, the original.
it's so much better.
Okay.
Um,
I'll take your word on that.
it like it fits the vibe and like the I guess it fits the original a lot better. And this
Mm,
one is at least to an extent trying hard enough to match the original that they should have used the original music.
I might
Um,
have been like a maybe like a copyright issue,
that's
or maybe they just
very
wanted to use their own
possible.
music.
Which is
What'd you think of the
unfortunate,
fight
but
scenes?
the fight scenes, honestly, they didn't animate them. They skipped them. So much of them.
Really? They made them longer? I liked the fight scenes, like the animation wise was
Oh
like
no,
really
and
sick
animation
for.
is really good. But no, it's just like I have you looked at and some of them they do show, but like do you recall the first interaction between the guy with the cane and Ruby?
Oh yeah.
They sped like if I remember it, they like kind of speed ran that fight.
Mm.
That was a much more drawn out and more interesting fight in the initial show. Um,
Like, even was that like in the first episode of the original
that
show?
was it was pretty much after like the initial welcome to the world, that was the first scene.
Mhm. Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah. So they had a whole like inserted 10 minutes that like essentially spoiled a lot and did nothing else,
Mm.
in my opinion. Um,
Who's the guy directing this? I'm just taking a look here. Dude does
but
not have like too much experience directing stuff. Oh, but he was an episode director on for episode 4 of Arcade Gamer Fubuki, which is the best anime ever made.
I
So
see.
okay, I trust this guy entirely. I'm
Um,
sorry I ever questioned him.
I
Um,
I'm of the opinion that we'll see. Um,
yeah, you have not seen the third episode, and that's probably the episode I have a gripe with because it
uh-huh.
was a fucking mess pacing wise.
That makes sense.
Animation was cool,
No,
but they felt like they speed ran like what could have been a full episode
mhm.
in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, the pacing has felt off for the entire bit for me at least.
Yeah, I hopefully
Um,
it like fixes itself when they like I don't know, I feel like they're trying just to push past stuff they don't like and make it to something cool, maybe.
yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Get into some like
the thing
actual
is that
plot.
so the problem is that I mean, okay, for me with the original, and part of it might be nostalgia. I really did enjoy it when I did watch it. I grew out
Mhm.
of that because it got childish and kind of went down the toilet after the end
Mhm.
of the third season. But part of the reason for that is because its original creator died. Um,
Yeah.
and so I think his name was Monty Um, and he and he was the mastermind behind the show,
Mhm.
essentially. Um, and it tanked without him. He did all of the major fights animation
Oh,
himself
really?
in the
Like
original.
in CG?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I think he was also probably pretty heavily involved in the writing and story and like directing.
Mhm.
Um, and so he paced it really well, and like he was the design, he was everything for the show essentially, from my understanding. And then like
Mhm.
obviously there was a whole team at Rooster Teeth that carried it on,
But it
but
just wasn't as good after
but it
that point?
just wasn't as good after that,
Damn.
after the end of the third season. And like because the animation kind of tanked, and but so and it's kind of like they've taken all of the really good flair and like character that the show had and kind of compressed it in weird ways, and it's just not my favorite anymore.
Yeah,
Like
I feel that.
it's the show doesn't have character anymore because it was fun, it was quirky, it was like
Mhm.
um I don't know, it's just
Yeah,
it's
now it's
not
just like a
right
shadow of
anymore.
its former self.
Exactly. And I mean, I wish the original had the animation that this has because it's so
Mm.
much better.
I think the issue with this too is this is like trying to is like under the confines of being a 12 episode anime,
Uh-huh.
and
Well,
I
and
I think they might be trying to cover much more than what can be like reasonably fit into 12 episodes.
yeah.
And
Ugh.
like I don't know why they would,
I don't
but
I think they're probably worried about the success of the show, so they're trying to fit as much in as
yeah.
they can, which is understandable because it's really hard to follow up something as it's kind of beloved to a group of people.
Mm.
So it's
Yeah, I think they're
hard to
trying to pull
follow
on
up.
a much wider audience, and definitely like I don't know how big it was in Japan.
I don't know.
I think.
I never knew. I barely knew any other people that enjoyed it except for the people that I introduced to it.
Hmm.
Um, except actually, I don't think I introduced one person to it. But anyway, regardless. Um, but like, yeah, it's Monty is a hard act to follow up,
Yeah.
and I think they're trying too hard to fit as much in as they can because they don't know about their budget for the
Yeah.
next season. But I think they could have done so much better to just match the original.
Yeah.
The original needed animation work, and that's about it for
What
the
this
first
show
three
has.
seasons. I think I don't
Mm.
from what I remember. Again, I watched it forever ago.
Yeah.
And then after that, they could have just completely changed the story and nobody would have cared. Um but yeah, it's like I don't know. It's interesting. I'm interested to see where it goes. I do not have high hopes, but I do intend to finish it.
All right.
Um at least for now. If I get too disappointed in it, I will drop it like a fucking hot potato.
That makes sense.
Um if it disappoints me too much, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
drag my memory of Ruby through the mud by trying to watch something that's not doing it justice.
I have like
Um,
no standards for it, so it's
yeah,
all good to me.
it's interesting. I mean, yeah, the music is the killer for me, though.
Damn.
It's unfortunate. Though I don't know it. Ah.
Do you wanna move on?
Yeah, let's
Hey,
carry on.
let's make the
But
hard transition to FLCL.
hell yeah, or what is it? Flickly,
Quickly,
flickly,
uh, I've seen this show.
flickly, flickra.
For, I've seen this show like over 3 times now. I
do, do
wrote about it for a fucking English paper one
um
time,
out of
so I watched like
curiosity,
half of it again for that.
out of curiosity, does
Yeah.
it get easier to understand the more times you watch it,
Oh,
or
definitely. Okay. I don't know how confused you were, but I'll just introduce Fooly
wildly?
Cooly. Fooly Cooly FLCL is a Studio Gainax and Production IG anime from the year 2000. It's a six
Damn.
episode OVA, and it's a fucking wacky banger all about puberty and
It,
emotions.
is that what it's about?
Did you not pick up on that?
No, not at all. I was just wildly confused and watching it at like midnight. But
Okay, okay. The show it centers around a boy named Naota Nandaba, which is such a little goofy last
oh
name.
yeah,
He also gets referred to as Takun.
sounds
He's 12
familiar.
years old, a last year in elementary school in Japan because he's a sixth grader. And he wants to be a mature adult. He doesn't want to
Of
be like all
course.
the other lame adults in his life who are just act like little kids and are just so wacky. He doesn't want to be like his dad, you know? And he
Yeah.
hangs out with a high school girl, Mamimi Samejima, uh, and they kind of kiss each other and shit
Except
sometimes.
she's like dating his brother though, right? Or some weird thing, right? Or she like
Yes,
wants to be?
Mamimi is Takun's brother's ex-girlfriend, pretty much.
X. I see. Okay.
After Takun Naota, his brother left for America to go play baseball professionally,
Yeah.
and kind of left Mamimi there by herself. And I could get into her character in a second. And
Okay.
then one
Yeah,
day,
please
hanging
do,
out with
but
her on the bridge, he gets run into by a wacky
by
woman
the
on a
Vespa woman.
Vespa, who is the best character in the show, Haruko Harahara.
Oh yeah.
And she's fucking hilarious. She whacks into him, then hits him with a fucking guitar,
Except the
and
guitar has an
then
engine in the back because of course it does.
with an electric guitar with an engine in the back, smacks him in the head, and then starts like trailing him around after that as a growth starts to come out of his head.
Oh
And then
yeah.
after a confrontation with Mamimi, a fucking robot comes out of his head.
It was weird as
And
fuck.
an arm attached to that robot comes out as well, and those fucking robots fight. And the full robot that came out is referred to as Conti. And Conti is sick. Conti is a
Yeah.
robot with a TV for a head,
It's
and he is so cool looking. He is probably my favorite robot design of all time.
He's really cool. It's so interesting, so much character too.
And
Like
definitely, actually, for a character that doesn't talk,
at all.
he's
Well, except actually sort of. There's you get the text on his face.
yeah, that's like really occasional.
Yeah. I've
He's
once actually,
most of
I
his
think.
most of his appearance is just movements,
Yeah.
and he moves funny. So does everybody in the show.
Funky.
Um, yeah, basically, the show is about Naoto trying to figure out what his life is and fighting monsters with his robot and being the cool hero guy, but also dealing with a lot of adult shit at the same time and dealing with
Yeah. It
puberty.
was
So
oh god, it was
that
such a
was a
weird
really
show.
scuffed um explanation of the show, but I hope that
um
works.
yeah, I think that and it's a pretty good summary. It's like I
It's a
mean,
hard
from the
show to
perspective of
describe.
somebody who really didn't understand it, essentially what happened is it's about this kid that gets tangled up in this weird, I think, interplanetary
Yeah,
thing where he has robots come out of his brain periodically and
and he's got
like
to fight them.
and he's got to fight them inside of the first robot that came out of his brain.
Yeah, inside of Conti.
And then there's like this whole like
Then Haruko follows him around, and
intergalactic
she's a character.
yeah.
There's like
And
intergalactic
she's
space
like
patrol people
she's
and
the
these
cause
companies.
for the robots coming out of his brain too, right?
Yeah. Well, okay, let's.
Um
I don't want to spoil too much. I could explain everything to you, but I don't want to ruin that for anybody who hasn't seen the show yet. So
well, we started this episode with the warning.
I think we could just talk about like the art first, though, because
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with
I
that.
think that's also a part that both of us understand.
Oh god, it's so fascinating. Um
This show is from well, it's from Gynax and Production ID, but basically what that means is the talent from Gynax and the brain of Gynax and the creativity from Gynax just has the production has like the production value of a show from Production IG.
lovely.
So and like Gynax is the studio known for making like Evangelion,
Ye- I see.
Gurren Lagann, Gunbuster, Karakano, which are all like really fucking creative ass shows
Yeah,
with a lot of amazing art, but they all suffer from
from budget, right?
really bad budgets. Yeah, like the ending of Evangelion, the last 2
Yeah.
episodes are just, like, a fucking mess due to budgetary constraints and a lack of time. Karikano just, some episodes, I just don't think they could color, or some of them they didn't animate.
Yeah.
It's a really weird show, and I really like it for that. The fact that it was just, like, the
Did
creativity they
they
used to get around their budgetary constraints
out of
and create
curiosity,
a weirdo show.
did
Yeah.
they reference that pretty heavy? Did they reference that with like the like manga panel-esque style in the middle of the
I
first and last episodes?
See, I don't know. Okay, you wanna talk about that shit?
Sure. Let's start.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Brain of Gynax, they're known for having wacky animation and
Yeah.
very I mean, this show is, like, very pose heavy. A lot of it can be, like I don't wanna, like, completely attribute it, but it's similar to, like, the animator Kaneda.
Uh-huh.
I know for, like, the Kaneda light flare. You know those light flares you saw on, like, everything in this show?
Yeah.
Anytime
Oh,
Imaishi
for sure.
animated?
Yeah.
That's the Kaneda light flare, and he's also known for having a lot of posing in his animation. So it's
Uh-huh.
not just, like, one fluid punch, it'll be, like, kind of, like, cutty 2 different, like, poses,
Yeah.
like, very distinct movements and very distinct posing on their characters that add, like, just a lot of characterization to them as well, I think.
Yeah.
Um, this show also switches up art styles a lot. I'm all over the place here. Do you wanna ground me? What was something you liked?
I mean, ah, okay. So I was wildly confused the entire time. To
Mm.
start off with. But that was partly my fault for watching it very late and very last minute. Um,
Frick.
I watched the entire thing last night. Um,
At least it's fresh.
exactly. It's fresh in my mind. I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, ugh. Yeah, I didn't pick up on the puberty shit at all. But like, I
Animation-wise, though?
animation wise, it was just it was fascinating. Like, and again, you said it earlier about the characterization of the characters through poses, through animation, through the way they move.
Yeah, they're
Um,
very distinct in that matter.
it's incredibly distinct, and it's like, I mean, they're not particularly attached to realism in this show,
No, it's very
but
exaggerative. I think
but
there's a shot where, like, Haruko is, like, dodging somebody and her
yeah,
helmet flies off. Like, she,
and
like,
her
moves
eyes
out of the
stay
way,
in
but
it, right?
yeah, her helmet stays there and her eyes just stay up there in her goggles, and then they, like, slap back to her.
Yeah.
It's very cartoony in that way, and I really like
Um,
that.
but it's so cool, and like, there's such it has this insane stylization and these facial expressions and all of that.
Yeah,
But
the very,
like,
like, exaggerated, wacky facial expressions.
exactly, and it I mean, yeah, again, it adds so much character to the entire show, but also like each of their characters. Each of their characters has their own way of exaggeration, you
Mhm.
know? At least is what I've seen from what I
Yeah, I mean,
remember.
the show's also not afraid to just completely switch up styles
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
too. I mean, there's you talk about the, manga bits where the
Mhm.
entire show just becomes a moving manga, like, where it slides across manga
For
panels,
like a
and
couple
that
minutes.
yeah,
And
that's
that was
completely insane. I'd love to watch an entire show just set up like that. It was really cool looking. Oh, man, and I mean, the conversations during that are a complete mess, and it's great.
Yeah.
They're just talking about "furikuri, furikuri,
Oh yeah.
kurikuri."
Furikura? Furikuri? Furikuri? Furikura? It was, oh gosh, it was insane.
Yeah. The animation aside from that, like, the actual fights are fucking incredible looking. I mean, big robot battle, big robot punch, big
Oh my god,
robot
yeah.
punch other robot, gun shoot gun, everything is it's all over the place, and it's really fast paced, but at the same time, it's smooth, and it doesn't, like, look like they're, like, cutting out anything.
Yeah.
It looks like they're pushing as much animation as they possibly can into, like, one segment.
Yeah, for sure.
And then but they
Though
do that for, like, the entire show. Everything is moving at all times in this show.
they did a very good job at not explaining anything, which is part of what makes the show, I think.
Mhm. I
Because
mean, it's who's it written by? What's his name? Script. Yoji Enokido. He also wrote fucking okay. This explains a lot of Fooly Cooley's writing is this
Uh-huh.
guy, but you probably haven't heard of him. He wrote a
Nope, not at
few
all.
of the scripts for Ava, and Ava is known for being a pretty confusing show on first watch.
Yeah.
He also wrote some of the scripts for Razafon, which is a similar show to Ava, in the
Uh-huh.
fact that a lot of shit also isn't explained in that. He also, I mean, he wrote the entirety of Fooly Cooley. He wrote Star Driver, which is another movie where, or another show where nothing is fucking explained ever until like the end, and he also tries to hit you with a lot of like obscure theming that
Oh,
you
yeah.
like have to take a while to just think about until you
Yeah.
get it. I mean, he's not like that for all of his work, but like he is good at writing sci-fi and then just not explaining any of it and
Which,
hoping you pick up on like the little
honestly,
things
though,
he's like puts
I
out there.
I kind of really enjoyed watching it like that, though.
Yeah.
Like, as much as, like, I didn't fully understand it, I definitely enjoyed it, and, like,
Yeah, that's
it
definitely like
it's
the
it
feeling of a first watch.
taking taking sci-fi just as is, no questions, just kind of like, "Okay, I'm watching this.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to make sense, it just is a really interesting way of, like, watching or engaging with science fiction that I've never tried before. Or not
Yeah.
really, like, it's just, like, a complete suspension of disbelief.
It throws you in there and it tells you everything's just gonna be insane. It's
Yep.
not gonna explain any of it, and it lets you just you vibe with it. You're into
Yep.
it, and I really like that. I really like that it doesn't bog itself down with like drawn out exposition to try to explain what the fuck a Haruko is,
Oh, yeah.
because in the end, none of that matters. You know, it
Not at
doesn't
all.
matter why this robot is coming out of Nellita's head. It doesn't really matter why Haruko is this fucking crazy woman who can like blow shit up and fly around on a motorcycle and shit. It doesn't matter because it's fun.
It's just
And
fun,
it
and
feels creative in like the same way as like a child's story
yeah.
too, which I've noticed, where it's just like it's kind of just the bullshit ramblings of things that would be really cool to a 12-year-old, which
Uh-huh.
works really well for the main character because
I
he is 12, and it kind of gets
exactly.
you into that mind of somebody of that age.
I mean, yeah, it's such it's so it's crazy. I mean, it's like, and I guess I don't know. I can't it never really follows the perspective of anybody else though, does it? Like, or it
No,
kind
you
of,
get some shots from other people's perspectives, but you don't follow them directly in a lot
yeah.
of cases.
And
I guess you
like,
follow like Mamimi in like the last episode a little bit.
yeah, but you don't get you get snippets is what it is, and
Yeah.
flashes.
I mean, the only character you'll get a voiceover from is Naota, and even that is pretty rare.
Yep.
It's only like once or twice an episode, and even then, it's like still pretty vague.
And then I want to bring up the eyebrows. The
Okay,
fucking
can I save
eyebrows.
this? Can I save this
Yes.
for a second?
Yes, please do.
I just want to talk about. Can I talk about because that's more into like the theming. I kind of want to just talk about the staff for a second.
All
This
right. Yes,
fucking the staff
let's
list
hear
for
it.
this show is insane. I mean, there's like okay, so director Kazuya Surimaka, like don't know him from much. He directed the Ava rebuild movies
Uh-huh.
and Gunbuster 2 Diebuster, which is just worst Gunbuster. I did not like that, but uh, he does not have a pretty good track record.
Mhm.
I gotta say, I think Felique is like without a doubt his best directorial work.
I
That or like the
see.
end of Evangelion, because end of Evangelion is really fucking good.
You
But
know, I've never watched anything related to Evangelion.
I recommend it ish. I think the
Mhm.
show's okay, but the end of Evangelion's really good.
I see.
But the character designer, I really like the character designer. His name is Yoshiyuki Sadamoto.
Uh-huh.
His character designs are sick. He did the character designs for Ava, which is fucking iconic. Did the ones for Nadia. He did the character designs for this show,
Yeah.
obviously. What else did he character design? Oh, for like Summer Wars. They're distinct and they work really well. They're just
Yep.
good looking. I like them.
Absolutely. Um,
um, the people that worked on the storyboards and the episode directors, just a lot of familiar people. There's Shoji Saeki, the guy who's working on League of Nations Air Force, the director of that, the show I talked about earlier.
yeah.
That's like the first season, one of the first seasonals there. But also Hiroyuki Imaishi, whose influence is the most obvious in the fourth episode, I think it was.
Uh
The episode all about guns.
huh. That was an episode.
Yeah, no, he's the guy who did this is his like one of his more major roles in like directing and storyboarding for a show.
Yeah.
So up to this point, he had only really been doing just lots of key animation for mecha shows. And then he was an episode director for like or I think just like maybe just a storyboarder for His and Her Circumstances. And then soon after that, he was a storyboarder and episode director for Fooey Cooey. And then right after that, he just worked at Production IG to make his movie,
Mm-hmm.
Dead Leaves, which is a banger movie and
I
is the
see.
most Imaishi thing to exist aside from Space Patrol Guuko. So
Yeah.
think of it what you will. But yeah, you can definitely tell his influence, like especially the animation for that episode feels pretty distinct
Yeah.
compared to the other episodes, where they use a lot of his colors and his style for the animation. I think he did animate for a lot of that episode.
Uh huh.
And that episode is like definitely just his type of thing, just guns and fast paced action.
Yeah.
And
It's
that episode is sick. And I
it was a
just such a
time.
fun. That one was such a fun watch. I really like that episode.
So it was episode 4?
Yeah, the gun episode.
Yeah.
I think it's episode. Oh no, it's episode 5. It's the gun
Episode
episode.
5. Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's the
It
one where.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were like fighting but not fighting, and then
Well, Naruto and his dad get into like a
yeah.
fight ish, and then they just play with toy guns and just start shooting
Yeah.
at each other.
Exactly. I mean
I love the double entendre with that episode as well about
yeah.
cockiness.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that's kind of me talking about that. I think the animation for the show is fucking stellar,
Oh, it's incredible.
and it's probably one of my favorite animated things to be animated. Yeah. Do you want to talk about the theming? I guess
Please.
what you got out of this story.
I mean, I don't know. I didn't get much, honestly. I was kind of just along for the ride.
Hey.
But I mean, yeah, that's really it. It was just it was a show. It was a time.
I mean, the show's like, from what I've picked up on it, this is like me just. I wrote a whole essay for this for fucking like high school English class one time, so I should know a thing or two because I watched the show. It's about puberty.
Yeah.
That's to like put it uh, simply.
Uh-huh.
It's just like the characters definitely like represent parts of puberty, and Haruhara just represents the wave that is puberty by smacking Naoto in the head, just
Yeah.
coming in there, just smacking him with it and being like, "You're stuck with this. You now have
Ugh.
emotions.
Yeah. I
Grow up."
mean,
And
ugh.
she's a representation
Can
of like
I
his adolescence
yeah,
and
can I
shit.
now say that puberty hit me like Haruka did? Right. I used to say puberty hit me like a truck, but uh
They hit you like a woman on a Vespa.
exactly.
But
I
yeah,
just
it's definitely about Naoto like exploring parts of like puberty and
yeah.
trying to become an adult and
That
finding out what the right path for him is
that makes a
of
lot of
becoming an
sense.
adult and what like true maturity is and what is like his fake form of maturity because throughout like the beginning of the show and like
Yeah.
most of the show Naoto's trying to be an adult
Yeah.
and he gets like
And
there's a part
he's
in like
trying really hard
episode
to be his older
3.
brother too, right?
Yeah. Well, there's
Um
a part in episode 3 that really sticks out to me where Eri, a girl in his class who pretty obviously kind of has a thing for him,
yeah.
calls him out for he yells at her. They're in an argument. He yells at her. He's like, "You're just a kid," and she turns around and says, "You're just a kid too," and it fucking causes him to snap.
Yeah.
And like it says a lot about his character. I'm just wanting to be like be an adult, but we be like his older brother as well.
It's
Like this
yeah.
guy he looks up to as like the best form of an adult, especially compared to like his father, who is kind of this scummy little newspaper, scummy newspaper man that's
Runs
a total lecherous
yeah.
pervert and a weirdo.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
really
like his
interesting.
character though. He's hilarious.
I guess it discusses a lot of uh a lot about like role models and like who to look up to too.
Ideas of like manhood. I mean, the
Yeah.
show is definitely about Nata learning that he can't just be his older brother,
Uh-huh.
disconnecting from that thought and becoming his own person.
Yep.
And a lot of it's also like he doesn't want to lose to his older brother either. Like with the idea of not wanting to swing the bat.
Uh-huh.
And
It's
which
I
episode
mean,
is that? Is that episode 4? Yeah.
is it?
Yeah. Episode 4 is about the bat. Yeah, so
Okay,
episode
that makes
4,
sense.
I mean his brother, going away for to America because he's professional in baseball causes
Yeah.
Naruto to not want to swing the bat because he doesn't want to fail
Well, and
and
interestingly,
be
it's
worse
I
than his
mean,
brother in a way.
yeah, being a younger sibling leads to a lot of feeling like you're or often feeling like you're in your older sibling's shadow in a
Yeah.
lot, even if it's never the case and like you're often vastly different people, but especially in the case of being a younger brother
Mhm.
or I guess younger sibling of the same gender
Yeah.
is but it's like it often leads to feeling like you're in your older sibling's shadow
I mean,
or
for Naruto, like, that feeling is definitely perpetuated by Mamimi,
yep,
who is the his brother's, like, ex-girlfriend or girlfriend he kind of abandoned,
right,
and her just kind of, uh, treating Naota as a replacement
yeah,
for
ugh, that was messed
her
up.
ex-boyfriend, and, I mean, I think their characters are both, like, they're very intertwined and they're very well done. I mean, Mamimi's arc of learning that there is no replacement and there never will be,
Yep.
and that she just has to move past it is like a really interesting part of the show, especially
Mm-hmm.
like with the end of her just leaving to go off and do her own thing, leaving the
Yeah.
town and like choosing a kind of like a solitary-ish job that allow it's like a job of photography
Yep.
of
I
her
think it was
having
like
to rely on
photojournalist, right?
herself for working, huh?
It was photojournalist essentially.
Yeah, and her relying on herself instead of relying on, like, the town or Naoto's older brother,
Yeah.
and, like, pushing herself to actually grow up as well,
Yep. That was
and not
interesting.
be
Her
stuck in
entire
this, like,
character was
perpetual state.
stuck essentially in not entirely, but to an extent almost stuck in elementary school. Um
Mm,
because and not entirely and like we see a lot of just like stuck acting childish. But
mhm,
her like or at least the main formative event that we see for her character takes place in elementary school when she's saved from a fire by
by Naoto's older brother.
exactly.
And that's when she falls in love with him, and then she's been so actually, it's also the idea of, like, this kind of innocent first love is a
Yep.
very prominent thing in the show. Like, Mommy Me being in love with Naoto's older brother and just not being able to let that go,
Yep.
and Naota being in love with Mamimi. I think
Mhm.
there's the line in, like, episode 2 where he's like he kind of confirms that the only person he can see himself with and be with in the future is Mamimi. Like, he wants to protect Mamimi as if that's, like, the only thing in the world to him,
Yeah.
you know? And if there's, like, nothing past
Oh,
that
and then later we see
and then, yeah,
her
the feeling being cut off in, like, episode 5?
yeah.
Or is it
I think it was
yeah, it's
episode
episode
4.
5. No, it's episode 5, the cockiness episode.
Are you sure?
Because he's on top of the
Right, no,
he's, like, on
it's the
the
gun episode, you're right, you're right.
yeah, he's on top of, like, the
Um,
robot, and
and
she's like yeah. Then she yells out to Naoto's older brother Taskun. She's like, "Taskun, save me!" And Naoto realizes that the nickname he was given is just the nickname for his older brother, pretty much, like
yeah.
one letter away. And it's like, "I am a replacement." And he finds out like where his place really was in that relationship,
Yeah.
and that he was nothing more than a replacement to her, and she didn't even see him for
And
who
then
he was.
we later and then he like later screams, "Can't you see that it's me saving you?"
Yeah, it's me
Um,
saving you. I'm going to do it, not Taskun.
yeah.
As he hops into, like, the fucking robot's mouth, and Conti just eats him and becomes Adamsk, and then, like, defeats the robot in a way.
Yeah. And actually, should we explain who Adamsk is or
Okay, do you want me to explain the plot? Because I
yeah,
don't know how much
you
of
know
that you
what?
got.
Yeah, we should do that. We should go through
Okay.
that.
For an actual explanation of the plot, from what I've picked up, uh, basically, there's this being called Atomisk. He is this like space pirate thing.
It
He's just
was
a being
he's
of
funky.
power. I think that's all you really have to know.
Yeah.
And Haruko is somebody who should probably hate him from where she stands on like her side of the universe,
Uh-huh.
and the way like the people she works for, but
Isn't sh
she's actually in love with him and she
Yeah.
wants his power. And
Well,
he
actually,
has
that was the
been
thing. Was she in love with him, or was she greedy and wanted his power?
that's
Or
yeah, I think
was
that's
there
pretty
no
up to
difference?
interpretation. Or was there no difference? Or was Adamus just power? I mean, there's a lot left up to interpretation there.
Yeah.
But so basically, Adamus is caught by the organization Medical Mechanica, a company that is on Earth and is making robots inside of massive irons
Yeah.
that are called factories, but they're just big irons. And the
Hmm.
whole point of those, you find out, is so that they can create a big robot hand to iron out the the fucking the wrinkles of the earth, like smoothing out a brain, so
Yeah.
everybody's stupid. And that's what they've been doing to other planets. And Adamus has been trapped by them, so Haruko comes to Earth to try and free Adamus. And she uses Naota by smacking him in the head, which causes him to become a kind of teleportation device for these machines in hopes of freeing Adamus out of
What was the thing for that where it was
medical
like she
mechanica.
smacks him in the head and then his brain is like weirdly split and then there's an empty space in his head that things come out of, right?
Yeah, his brain is just gone. She
Yeah.
smacks him in the head. He loses his brain, and now his mind is only filled with these. It can only be filled with these large robots. I mean, that's like just a representation of like an overwhelming emotion. That's how
Yeah.
you're just like a fucking moron through puberty, and all you feel are just drastic emotions. And
Ooh.
like the robots represent that. Like anytime somebody overflows with emotion, the robots come out of Naoto's head,
Yeah.
and he's got to take them down. And it's like him facing emotions
Yeah.
and these hard emotions to understand for a child. But yeah, so pretty much Adamus is kind of freed through the form of Kanti, but only when like Naota's attached to him because Arco kind of broke him by smacking him in the head.
Right, because she immediately attacked him, right?
She attacked Kanti while he was in his like red Adamusk form, smacked him right in the head, turned him into Kanti, and the only way for him to become Adamusk again is by eating Naota
Yeah.
until like Adamusk is finally freed from Kanti at the end of the show.
Yeah.
And Haruko leaves to go chase after him again. And that's like the plot. I think that's pretty much the entirety of the
Pretty
plot of the show.
much.
Oh, and then there's
It's
Amuro, the fucking eyebrows dude. I
right.
completely forgot about him. He's
Eyebrows
part of another organization that's trying to stop medical mechanica, and he
and
is somebody
Haruko,
who
right?
is well, he was. It's more of a personal grudge against
I
Haruko.
see.
I mean, Haruko poses a threat to the Earth because she is just fucking insane.
Yeah.
But it's more of his personal grudge because he was the kind of an initial candidate when he was younger
Uh-huh.
for Haruko's head smacking and
I
robot
see.
pulling. It's more of his character really represents a rejection
Yeah.
of true adulthood and
Uh-huh.
the idea of like this false manhood, fake
Oh,
manliness.
and that's what the eyebrows are.
That's what the eyebrows are for,
I
the fucking
see.
seaweed
So
eyebrows,
he
the
has these
massive
fake
seaweed
seaweed
eyebrows.
eyebrows. Also, we should say we keep referring to him as eyebrows or the eyebrows guy.
That,
But
that's his name. I'm just gonna call him that.
he's
It's
eyebrows, dude. Just eyebrows. It's yeah.
these eyebrows. Um,
Um, but so
he's
he has
no, you
these
keep
fake
on.
eyebrows, and it's just like, and it's the only thing anybody ever notices of him. They're seaweed,
And
just
yeah, it's
stuck to his
this.
face, and he
It's
has
a
no
fake.
actual eyebrows.
Actually, I didn't even notice that. That all people ever notice of him is his eyebrows,
No, yeah,
except for
and
Haruko.
even
It's kind of like I mean, even her maybe I don't remember,
well, actually,
but
I
it's
think it's the opposite. She doesn't
no,
notice them
she doesn't see the eyebrows.
because she only recognizes him as the failure.
Yeah, and she can so like his thing his hang up is that he was a failure to Haruko, and he's still kind of in love with the idea of her, but he's too much of a baby to actually
Yeah.
confront any of his emotions around it, and is just adamantly against her. And yeah, I think the eyebrows really just represent, yeah, this shield he puts up in front of himself of this false manhood, and that's all people can see of him are
Except,
just these really distracting
oh yeah,
eyebrows. But this it leaves him with no character that people
yeah,
can actually see. And he's adamantly warns Naota of Haruko's
and then
influence,
and
which
then
Naota just rejects.
well, and actually, he also gives Naota eyebrows,
Which
but
just
which is interesting because it plays into the theme of Naota learning what's truly growing up and
yeah,
like
the difference between false manhood and manhood.
exactly.
I mean, I love the bit that the eyebrows just immediately fall off as soon as he
Yeah.
sees Haruko again too.
But it's interesting.
hmm I mean, each episode deals with like a completely different part of this, like growing up to an adult. I mean, like
Yeah.
episode one is just an introduction to everything. Episode two being kind of a bit of a confrontation of Mamimi,
Yeah.
where she stands and Naoto's feelings for her, and the fact that Naoto has feelings for her, and that he's kind of, I think he kind of recognizes that he is easily replaceable for
Yeah.
her.
I think
I mean, like she picks up a cat, also names it Takun, and then she becomes obsessed with Kanti and tries to kiss him, and that's when Nato overflows and causes the
yeah.
robot fight of the episode,
Yeah.
which is such a sick robot fight. I love it so much.
Mhm. That's the one.
That's the blue, like the fat blue robot.
Yeah.
That's like the first time Nato's like eaten.
Right, right, right. And then do you remember
I mean, the episode after that is like Ares episode.
uh-huh, I was going to ask about that one next.
Yeah,
So Takun or Naota has these cat ears for that episode.
yeah.
But then well, and that's the thing actually is that he gets these growths in on his head every time the emotions start to emerge and then
Dude,
they
I
like
oh,
explode out of his
okay.
head.
That's it's the first time is a total fucking boner joke.
Yeah. Oh,
You
definitely.
picked up on that, right?
Oh,
Okay.
definitely.
This is
Um
he's like puts fucking tape over it. He's like, how am I gonna show up to school with something like
Oh
this?
yeah.
And gets his first
Um
boner. Oh, it's so funny.
and
Yeah,
then
he gets
but
the
anyway,
cat growth for that episode.
but so he has cat ears for that episode. And then for some reason they're transferred over to what is it? Ari?
Yeah. Eri.
Ari.
ERI.
Um I don't understand. They were what was it? They were experiencing similar things though, weren't they?
Okay, so pretty much during the scene where Naoto gets hit again by Haruko
Uh-huh.
in that episode, and he flies right into like they smack heads.
Yeah.
Like him and Eri smack heads, and you see that like little static effect between their heads.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like the transfer and her contracting puberty in a way, because right after that she starts getting stomach pains,
Yeah.
which I think is just a period.
Right. That makes sense. I
It's like
did
the
kind of pick up
representation
on
of
that,
that.
but
I didn't pick up on that until this watch. That like that's what that was,
yeah.
and that's what that kind of like means. And that was like her initiation into puberty. I think that's why it transfers over, is because
Uh-huh.
she's also the one who overflows as well
That
in
makes
that
sense.
episode, and just boop. I don't know. It also made for a pretty cool effect of like
It
this
oh
monster
yeah.
coming out of her head and her just dangling off of it.
Which was interesting and kind of cool. Yeah.
And then like yeah, I mean her whole thing is like she wants to be noticed by her parents because they're going through a divorce
Yeah.
and nobody gives her attention, so she fakes like she
Spoofs the vote to
yeah,
get the lead for the school play.
yeah,
Um
makes Naota Puss in Boots. That's where the cat ears come in.
yeah. It was
I really like that bit of the episode though, at the end
uh-huh.
with the fake glasses,
Yep.
as if she's like still putting up a bit of a front.
um
She still is playing a character, but she's like still as a character though, she's grown past that.
yeah.
I really like that. The fact that characters aren't just fixed, but that they've changed at least, and there's growth towards that
Yeah.
because it takes time. Um, what were the next episode was the Oh, the bat, dude. Okay,
The
that's
bat.
that and episode 4 and 5 are probably my favorites in the
That
whole
that
series.
tracks. Yeah. They were interesting and the most overtly themed. Um
That's true as well. I think that
yeah.
hitting the bat is something that can like really just resonates with like anybody.
Oh, for sure.
The idea of just being afraid to try,
Yep.
and you have to try something if you're ever going to do anything. You have to take a risk if you're ever going to do anything with your life. I mean, now with this character up to that point has just been kind of content and believing nothing can be exciting,
Yeah.
but it's also that way because he doesn't ever apply himself to anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the swing of the bat is like that.
Right. And then yeah, and he has to learn to swing the bat, but he also what is it? It's like is it I'm curious.
Hmm?
So I guess I'm really curious. Does he regain a certain level of hope for him and Mamimi during that episode because he starts to think, "Oh, maybe I can be like my older brother."
I think that really like overtly leads into the fifth episode, but I
Yeah.
think okay, the theming for like that one is for the fourth episode. Yeah, he hits the bat. I like the bit where Haruko still has to help him though,
Uh-huh.
like, because he's still a kid. You know that
Yeah.
idea of like you'll still need help from others,
And it's
and
okay.
it's okay. You shouldn't forget that because you're just a kid.
Yeah.
I really
But
like
but
that.
at the
That was a
same
really
time,
cool
at
bit.
least he tried and he helped.
Hmm. Yeah, and then that leads like directly in the episode, which is the a really overt theming of cockiness,
Yeah.
with his head turning into the fucking oh,
the
brain stops working. What's that part of a gun called?
It's the hammer.
The
He
hammer,
he has the
yes.
hammer of a revolver sticking out the back of his head.
Yeah, and every time he gets cocky, the gun cocks, and that's just like it's such a little goofy bit. And that
Yeah.
episode has my favorite bits of animation.
I totally
They
did
also
not
do a
pick up on
South
that
Park
at
bit in
all.
there. Did you notice the South Park bit? I love that.
I
It's so
did.
like
I
out of
did
nowhere.
notice
I love
that.
that. And then it like leads right into like the craziest gunfight.
Yeah.
Which that gunfight was so sick. I love Maishi's gunfights. They're so
They
insane and
definitely did
wacky.
that literally just to add in a gunfight. They wanted a
Yeah,
gunfight, so they
that
put in
was
a
Imaishi
gunfight.
being like, "Okay, put in the guns. I need gunfight and the big robot with the big gun."
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I think that's also, but yeah, this is a really important episode for like Mami and Naoto's relationship, as
Yep.
like we stated earlier, with Naoto realizing he's just a replacement.
Yeah, he learns that I mean, he kind of learns that he can't and doesn't want to be his older brother also.
Yeah,
He learns the difference of looking up to someone and being someone.
yeah.
Um in that same instance, I think at least.
That episode also has a Daikon reference. And
What?
remember the part where Haruko becomes the bunny girl?
Yes.
That is a direct reference to a like Gainax film. Like when I think it's like the first thing Gainax made
I
while they're
see.
like still a bunch of students, called Daikon. Or Daikons 3 and 4, the
Yeah.
opening animations. It's a direct reference to Daikon 4, which are like these I think they were opening animations for Comiket.
Huh.
It was just like or just some sort of like convention, comic book conventions.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Daikon girl is from that, and she dresses like a bunny girl wearing red, and she flies in on a sword.
I see.
I just love that. It's such a weird reference. I mean, it makes sense though because it's Skynax, but it's still it's so goofy. You
It's
just put
kind of
in there.
cool though. I mean, good for
I
them
mean,
to put it
the
in.
father's also making like a constant Lupin reference with like the red suit he wears.
Uh-huh.
I think he directly like talks about it too, saying like, "Do you prefer the green suit or the red suit?" Nada. Personally, Monkey Punch prefers the red suit. I think that's what the line was.
Really?
Which is yeah, it's a reference to Lupin's changing suit colors.
Huh.
Um, and then there's the sixth episode. That's the last episode. Ooh.
Yeah. I forget what all happened in the sixth episode. It was
End of fifth episode. Haruko stands on Naruto and kisses Kanti as Kanti is still in Atomisk form,
yeah.
and then you think everything's over in the sixth episode, but then it's not. Now his life has gone back to normal, but then
Yeah.
Haruko just fucking shows up again, and
She's
she's
like,
like,
"Oh, all right, back."
"Oh well,
Um,
I'm back. I still don't have Adamus." And then meanwhile, Mamimi is depression. She finds a small medical mechanica dog thing
yeah.
and just starts feeding it the phones of her classmates who she doesn't like
Yeah.
as it grows into like this big
Um,
monster
which turns out to
to be
be
like
the key to the hand to
a hand, yeah, the hand monster or the hand robot conglomerate creature that
yeah,
plans out the earth, and then Naoto has to save the day,
of course.
and he does so, and it's sick. And I think the ending shot for that episode is really good. Of like the
um,
shot that Mamimi, like the picture that Mamimi takes of
yeah,
Naoto
him with
standing
the
there with the
guitar
guitar.
and yeah. I'd be curious actually. I didn't look into it, but I'd be curious to look at the guitar models.
Mm.
See if
I
they're
think there is
real
a whole thing
models.
about that. They talk about that in the
A
show.
little bit, just when
They
they
say the
mention
name.
Atomsk.
Yeah, like the exact
Um,
what he has exactly.
yeah, I'd be curious to look into what models those are and if they have any
Mhm.
significance.
I like the
Um,
symbolism within that episode of the
let's see.
Naruto kind of because you get a lot of these opening shots. Anytime you get an opening shot of Naruto's room, it would be of
Yeah,
the bat, Naruto's older brother's bat. But then the last episode, where at the end of the last episode, I think the opening shot you get for Naruto's room is a picture is of the guitar, of his guitar,
right. Yep.
and it's like him actually becoming his own person and
Um,
finding his own bat to swing,
yeah. Let's
which I
see.
thought was just a really cool little bit. And also the like really overt bit of a phoenix coming out of his head, which is Adamisk, as kind of like as now it's his rebirth into
Yeah,
adulthood.
it's
And then
interesting.
Haruko being like, "You can't come with me because you're still just a kid."
What remind me, this was released 2000?
Yeah,
Okay.
2000 to 2001.
Doesn't look like there's anything particularly special about the Gibson EBO, which is a Tom's guitar. I did a quick Google search. Um, actually, notable players. I don't know. That doesn't nothing I understand at least. But I'd be curious to look into that maybe later.
I think
Um,
they. Oh wait, what's Haruko's is the Rickenbacker,
okay. Um,
which is just I don't know. I don't think there's any relative importance to the guitars.
yeah, I don't know. I don't.
Maybe there is.
There might be to an
Maybe it's something
extent.
I'll never
It
pick up on.
it might also just be they're cool guitars and old cool vintage guitars. You know, that's like totally possible.
That's true.
Um, but yeah. Anyway, they I think they are real guitars though.
Mm.
Um, at least it seems like. So maybe there's a significance. Maybe they just
Just
like the
like
guitars.
so off topic.
Oh yeah, totally. But anyway,
Did you watch the show dubbed?
I did not. I watched it subbed.
Really?
Um,
That is hell.
it wasn't that bad actually.
It's
Um,
I think
the
it's I mean it's a good sub. I think the dub actually really matches it in quality,
yeah,
and
I
it's
don't
just
know.
easier to understand because a lot of the time you have like three people talking at once.
It wasn't that bad because I mean more often than not you can just ignore two of them. Um,
Yeah, but I
but
don't know.
and the only ones that sucked, the scenes that sucked subbed were the manga scenes.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Those are terrible and you kind of just have to ignore them until they're over. To when they're subbed.
I definitely recommend the show. Dubbed. Actually, for the dub, I'm pretty sure the director, or at least like somebody major in the staff, went to the U.S.
Uh-huh.
or was in like really heavy contact with the ADR director and stuff, and they like got so they could get like the voices perfectly. I think they
Interesting.
have like Haruko's voice in the dub. I think is actually better than her voice in the sub.
Really?
Yeah, it fits so well,
Uh-huh.
and it's just so perfectly wacky.
I see.
Same with like a lot of the other characters, and the dub also does like a good job of the fuck is the word, localization.
Uh-huh.
You know, because like either you have like no localization where it's all just like direct one to one with the Japanese shit,
Yeah.
and there's like no explanation, and it's people speaking with American accents talking about the most Japanese shit, or
Yeah.
you have things that are just super Americanized where they replace every Japanese thing with an American thing, like a fucking poor kids dub.
Yeah.
But like this show does like a really cool mix of it,
The
where you
nice
still have
balance.
some characters even say stuff in Japanese. Like,
Interesting.
I mean, Mamimi says stuff like senpai
Yeah.
still, and then Haruko goes like ara in Japanese,
Uh-huh.
which is like just so goofy, but it fits your character well. Like, I
Of
don't think you
course.
could have like something different said in like oh in this
Yeah.
in like the dub
No,
version. I think that'd sound
that
off.
wouldn't
You have
fit.
to have the weird goofy sounds,
Yeah.
and then the like localization of things like calling like the convenience store 7-Eleven or talking about
Uh-huh.
like they have like when Conti has to go get a like a Playboy magazine, one of those
Yeah.
types of magazines. And the sub, it's like whatever it would be in Japan, and the dub, it's an American version of that. I think it's
That's
just like
cool.
slight things like that, which are like the perfect things to use in a
Yeah.
dub. Like those are the perfect minor changes because it's nothing drastic, and it gives you the same experience as if you were a Japanese person watching it subbed
Uh-huh.
in that way because
That
you
makes sense.
understand a reference to your own culture.
Yeah. Well, at least our 2000s culture. But
Yeah.
so but yeah. Interesting though.
It's more genuine that way.
That's cool. That's good to know.
Yeah, so if
Um
you ever do rewatch it, which I think the show is definitely better on a rewatch, because like the show
that
has gone from thinking like I think like I initially thought of it as like kind of just like an 8 out of 10 type of show, like it was a
yeah.
pretty good show, and like I think after like my second rewatch, I was like, no, this is my favorite show
Yeah.
ever. I'm
No, I
done,
can
hands down.
definitely see how rewatch value is almost higher than initial watch value.
I mean,
Um,
it's also a lot of things with my taste
yeah,
formed for like the shows I like after watching a lot of other Imaishi stuff and being like, wow,
yeah,
dude, how did I not even notice that Imaishi had such a fucking big influence on that episode of Foolikui and how that makes it so sick? Same
yeah.
with like other aspects, watching just other shows related to it. No, it's it's definitely worth more than one watch.
That makes
Like even
sense.
after I explained all of this, I doubt like I've
I
picked up on
mean,
everything.
well, the fact of the matter is, I'd like to rewatch it just knowing all of this. I
Hmm.
think that alone can improve the quality of rewatching it.
Yeah, I think once you kind of understand the like wacky plot that doesn't make much sense already,
Yeah,
you can start to pick up on what stuff actually means and a lot of the theming there,
yeah,
which is a really cool part of the show and like a really big part of what I like about uh uh Enokido's writing, because I think a lot of the shit he does has a lot of rewatch value to
yeah.
just understand the themes. Like I'd love to rewatch Star Driver, but it's 25 episodes, so that's not happening. But
Fair
I think like
enough.
a lot of the things he's written for definitely have like rewatch value in that aspect of just like watching it the first time to understand a normal plot and maybe a few themes, and then watching it again just for the theming because you already understand the plot,
Yeah,
which I really like.
yeah.
Oh,
That is nice.
dude,
And
wait, we
that
didn't even touch on the best part of the fucking show.
oh, enlighten me. What do you
The
think is the best
music.
part? That's true. The music's pretty good. Um,
Dude, this yeah, I there's so much shit I like about this show.
again,
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
for me, it was hard to focus on the music when I was trying to understand everything.
Yeah.
But what I do get the sense
That's why I
is
like
that
it dubbed.
the music fits. Like
It fits so
it
perfectly.
wasn't distractingly bad, but it also wasn't distractingly overly good. Not that's not really what I mean to say, but like overpowering to the show
Mhm.
itself.
I think it's well edited. I think the sound design is like good for that. Like the way it
Oh,
builds into itself, and you have these really climactic moments where it's just like one of the songs blaring
I mean, I
as you
always
see like this
say
insane animation,
that
and it's
like
like I mean the soundtrack I just really like in general. I
yeah,
think the pillows slap.
yeah, I'm always of the opinion that the best sound design is so subtly fitting that you don't notice it unless you're looking for it.
Mm.
Um, and what I
I
mean by
mean,
that is not necessarily like that you'd never hear it, or that
mhm.
just that like it fits so well that it doesn't stand out.
Mm.
Um,
I think, yeah, especially with the themes of the show itself too. I mean,
yeah,
like, it was like alternative rock, and it just fits with this kind of nostalgia-ish feeling
yeah.
that like the show has. And I don't know. I've listened to the soundtrack so many times outside of the show.
That makes,
It's one of
yeah,
those soundtracks that I just listen to the entire album,
yeah,
which is like, wait, how long is this? Hour and 22 minutes for a show that's like around 2 hours long.
yeah. Wait, well, I
It's a lot
guess,
of soundtrack. They did every song but one
huh?
song,
Yeah.
and the song's like a copyright, like one of those songs that has lost its copyright because it's so old.
Yeah. Interesting. That's yeah.
I really like the soundtrack. That's definitely a standout bit for me. I think that it fit. I everything about this show fits so well
Oh,
together,
absolutely. I
and
mean,
it's complete insanity.
I was gonna say
And
the show is a. I mean, like, I mean this in the best possible way. The show is a jumbled mess, but like I
but
kind of love it.
that's also what puberty is. A
It's
complete jumbled
yeah.
mess of emotions.
It fits so well, and especially when you start thinking about the theming, it fits so well. All of the pieces come together to create this just like fascinating bit.
Hmm.
It's so
I mean,
incredible.
it's also really. I mean, it's well paced as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like 6 episodes, but nothing ever feels rushed, and every character feels fleshed out by the end.
Yep. I mean, I think it would have suffered if they'd tried to go for a full 12.
Oh, definitely.
Or yeah.
I mean, it also allows for just like a lot more focus to be put on just 6 episodes.
Yep.
Like the staff working on this could have worked on like is the same amount of people that could work on a fucking 24 episode anime.
Yep.
But like the fact that you have all these people working on just 6 episodes gives it like I mean pretty much like a movie quality,
Oh yeah.
this movie level of quality. I think I've so sick.
Yeah. It was good. It was really good.
It's a ride. Yeah.
Um
Trying to think if I have anything else to say about this series.
I don't think that I do. If you do though, I'd be happy to hear.
I think I've said it. I really like the show. The show is wacky. I'd go watch it
Oh yeah, it's a
again.
time.
Go watch it again
Go
and
watch it
again.
and hell, I don't know. If you're here, well, I mean, the people watching it live ain't gonna tell us watch it and tell us immediately. But hey, you, YouTube, or I don't know, if I guess probably only YouTube. That's the only place you can leave comments, I think. Let us know if you watched it after watching the episode. Again, like either again or just after watching it and decided to watch it. What did you think? And was it better, more interesting, more engaging once you
I
kind of
definitely
understood
overhyped
it?
this.
Well, I mean, we'll find out. But anyway, let us know if you'd like to leave a comment below all that YouTuber talk.
Sure.
Anyway, let's see. What are we watching next week
Oh,
so that people listening slash watching can watch ahead if they'd like, just to be able to be caught up and fully know
all
what we're
right.
talking about.
The next show is Kemonozume. Kenonozume. I am talking like a lunatic. I'm very tired.
You know what? It's fine. That's
It's a
very
Masaki
helpful.
Wasa production from 2006 by Studio Madhouse. Masaki
Nice.
Wasa is the guy who did Devilman Crybaby, the best episode of Space Dandy, Ping Pong the Animation, Tatami Galaxy. Just a lot of really cool looking shit. And this is like one of the only things of his that I have not seen. So I wanna, and that's why we're watching it next.
Hell yeah, I'm excited. All right. Thank you so much for joining, watching, listening, however you're engaging with this content. Please like, subscribe, all the good YouTube stuff if you're on YouTube. Even if you're not on YouTube, consider it. That would be helpful. Uh And yeah, thanks for joining everybody. We'll be back. I guess this episode will be released on YouTube next week, and then we'll be back here live in 2 weeks. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too, Todd.
Yeah. I'm half awake. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Late Night Anime is produced by Morningstar Productions. We record live on Twitch at twitch.tv/sleeplessbee every other Friday. Episodes are available on YouTube at Morningstar Productions, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for joining us.